Have you ever done something that's brave? Let's talk about it.
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. I'm really glad you decided to join me today. My name is Mrs. A, if you don't already know, and I always start off with a check-in on our feelings, emotions, or what zone we're in. And the reason I like to do that is so we can all have some time to listen to our body, to practice identifying our feelings, and to have an opportunity to name or say that feeling. And so today we're going to focus on the zones of regulation, and those are the colors behind me. And each one means something different. The blue one means that you are feeling a little tired, maybe sick, slow moving. Maybe your body or brain doesn't feel fully awake. Maybe your thoughts are a little bit foggy. The green one means that you are feeling clear-headed. You're in control of your brain and your body, and you're feeling pretty comfortable or settled. The yellow one means that you're starting to lose control. Maybe your thoughts are getting jumbled. Maybe you're feeling worried or anxious about something. Maybe you're feeling distracted or confused. And the red one means that you're out of control. You don't feel like you are able to think clearly. You're maybe not able to control your voice volume or your body movements very easily. And each zone represents those different feelings, but none of those are good or bad. They just are. Sometimes we might wake up and feel in the blue zone. Oh, maybe you didn't sleep very well. Maybe your brain is foggy and you just feel like, oh, so heavy. And sometimes we wake up and we feel really comfortable, ready to go, jump out of bed, smile on our face, ready to take on the day. You might feel in the green zone. And then sometimes something could happen, like maybe you don't have your favorite breakfast available, or maybe your sibling won't stop crying, and you start to move into the yellow zone. And so all of these zones might be different things that you experience throughout the day. And that's okay. We can change from one zone to the next and experience different feelings from 1 minute to the next. And I think it's important for us to practice naming and identifying those feelings so we know what our body is telling us. We know what we might need to do to help us feel more comfortable or calm. And we can also communicate that to others or share that with others. So I'm going to ask you to share it with me, with yourself, or with the people around you. Will you listen to your body and figure out what zone you're in? Are you in the blue zone? Maybe a little slow moving or sad, maybe lonely or tired. Are you in the green zone, feeling comfortable, able to make clear thoughts? Are you in the yellow zone, feeling like you're losing control? Not really sure, but not feeling very settled. Or are you in the red zone, feeling like you've lost control, maybe not able to control your thoughts very well, feeling really overwhelmed? Will you grab an object that matches the color zone you're in? I will too. Did you find your object? Great. You may have noticed I first took a moment to listen to my body. I was looking for different clues, seeing if my legs were calm, if my stomach felt comfortable, if my brain felt clear. Those are different cues that my body sends me. Your body is different, so it might send different clues. That's okay. But I noticed that I was feeling pretty calm, pretty settled. And so right now I'm in the green zone. What color zone are you in? Oh, thanks for sharing that with me. And thanks for practicing naming the color zone that you're in right now. Remember, that can change from minute to minute or different moments throughout the day, and that's okay. There are also different strategies or different tools that you can use if you want to change from one zone to another. For example, when I feel like I'm losing control and I'm in the yellow zone, my thoughts are getting jumbled, my body is feeling anxious or jittery, if I move around, like go for a walk, or go on a bike ride, or even just step outside or look through my window, sometimes just getting out or admiring nature can really help me. It can help me feel settled or more calm, and I move closer to the green zone. It doesn't always make me feel totally calm or totally focused, but it often helps me feel a little bit more comfortable. And so maybe there are things that you like to do to help you. If you're not sure of them yet, that's okay. You can subscribe to my videos and we'll talk about lots of different tools and strategies and things you can try if you'd like to move from one zone to another. We'll also do something right now that might help you, and that is exercise. So we're going to look at our date, and the date may be different for you. You can just change it as needed. But oftentimes when we exercise, we can help clear our thoughts or help wake up our body. So let's take a peek. It is 2/16/22. And that 2 represents our month. Last month was January. This month is February. And the 16 represents the day in the month. It is the 16th day in February. And the 22, do you know what that represents? The year, yes, 2022. Nice thinking. Now before we get started, we have to check in with Fig because they are showing us one of the moves we'll do. Fig, you look a little sideways today. Now, Fig won't tell us just yet what move they're doing. You have to guess. So you can make some observations. That means look carefully and see what you notice. You can even try to make that shape with your body, or think about what muscles they are using or what parts of their body they need to do that. And we'll check back in with Fig soon. But first we need to do 2 things. And we are going to count by 2s because 2 is an even number. In fact, just looking at our date, I see all of these numbers are even. So we're going to get a lot of practice counting by 2s today. Let's start by doing 2 lunges. You can stand up if you're able. Stick out your legs, one in front of the other. And we will bend down as low as we can go. And I like to stick out my arms while I do this. We'll do 2, counting by 2s. Ready? 2! Next, we have 16 moves to do. And I'm feeling really excited at the moment, so I thought we could do some jumps. They can be big jumps or small jumps. They can be seated jumps or standing jumps, whatever you'd like to try. All I ask is that you try counting by 2s as you do it. We'll count all the way up to 16. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Thanks for giving that a shot. Finally, we have Fig's moves to do. Fig, what should we do 22 of? Side stretches. Thanks, Fig. Now, you may notice that Fig is standing up to do these. You are welcome to stand, or you can do them sitting as well. All you do is stick out your arms and stretch from one side to the other. We're going to do 22 of these. And again, we'll count by 2s. So hopefully you've been practicing a lot. This will be a little more challenging than the last time because it's a higher or bigger number. Let's get started. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Fantastic work. Now finally, after we exercise, I always like to take a cool down breath, or 3. So you listen for the bell, and as you hear it, fill your belly up big with air and slowly let it out. Oh, wonderful. I hope you are feeling more settled and cooled down. Today, we're going to continue to talk about courage and being brave. And earlier, I asked if you've ever done something brave. Can you think of a time that you were brave? It's okay if you can't think of one yet. We're going to talk today about how we can be brave with sharing our experiences, our own stories, helping others, and using art as a way to share. Being brave can come in many different forms or shapes and sizes, and making art and writing and trying new things is a big way that we can practice being brave. Let's learn a little bit more in our message. One way you can practice being brave right now is scooting up nice and close so you can see the message well, and looking for those alliterations, words that start with the same sounds or letters, and looking for onomatopoeias or sound words. Hello, helpful and brave friends. Last time we were together, we talked about people doing brave things through acts of love, working together to fight for freedom, singing songs to inspire change, and lending helping hands. Today, we're going to continue to talk about love, but through the lens of poets. Poets are artists that create with words. Sometimes they share stories about their experiences, and sometimes they draw dreams or hopes while writing. Whoa! These books are all about, or by, Black folks who have lived through many difficult and dark times, but made the world better through their love, art, and courage. May we all leave our communities better than we found them by doing the same. Love, Mrs. A. Can you think of a time that you've shown courage or made or created some art that helped change someone's day? I bet you have. Maybe as we read, you'll also start to remember some of those experiences, or you may start to feel inspired to be brave and courageous and share your love and your art and your experiences in a new way, or a way you haven't tried before. So let's check out these books I have. This first one here is called Voice of Freedom, Fannie Lou Hamer, Spirit of the Civil Rights Movement, and it is by Carol Boston Weatherford, with illustrations by Yuka Holmes. And this book is really stunning. The illustrations are so beautifully detailed and really just captivating. And the words are all poems. And they're all poems about Fannie Lou Hamer and her life. And so we'll hear a couple of poems. We'll start earlier in her life, and we'll go just a little bit later. But we won't hear her whole entire story. To do that, you'll need to grab this book from your library or bookstore. Let's start here. Delta Blues. I was just 6 when I dragged my first bag down a row of cotton. My family, all 22 of us, worked in a field. Wasn't no other work to do. They didn't have no such thing as factories. These factories are something new. From sun up to sundown, dew to dark, can see to can't, 20-foot sacks, over our shoulders, down miles of rows. We bent to pluck the cotton blossoming out. As 100-degree heat beat our backs, the dried bristles cut our knuckles and wrists. We picked 15 tons of cotton a season, but couldn't get ahead in our own lives. You see, the scale was always tipped in the owner's favor. Our so-called share of the crop never be enough to pay back the money we borrowed from the owner for the seed, food, clothing, and supplies. Same sorry situation every season. Black people work so hard and we ain't got nothing to show for it, I told anyone who would listen. Sharecropping was just slave by a gentler name. The same folk still had us in chains. Maybe you remember earlier in the month, we talked about how people were enslaved. They were captured and brought to the United States and forced to work in fields or on plantations and harvest different crops. And so this poem by Fannie Lou Hamer is all about her experience, starting at 6 years old when she had to work in fields and harvest cotton. And maybe you heard at the end, it said that sharecropping was just slavery by a gentler name. This was a little bit later on, when slavery was technically illegal, but something new was created. It was called sharecropping, and people would have to work on farms or plantations. Black people, mostly who were enslaved before, and they would have to do this because they owed their owners or masters something. They didn't have any of their own money because the owners and masters took all of the items and crops that they harvested. So even though they weren't technically enslaved anymore, they were really stuck in the situation. There wasn't much they could do. But you'll see, as her story goes on, they did work and try to fight for their freedom. Fair. School was open 4 months, December through March, when children were not needed to tend cotton. I liked school, even if Black history was left out and the textbooks made blacks seem like fools. I recited poetry and won many a spelling bee. Fair. May I have a definition? Free of bias, dishonest, and injustice. Fair. F-A-I-R, fair. I sang, too, up through 6th grade, and then left to work full-time in the fields. My family needed every hand if we were to ever break even. At 13 years old, I picked 300 pounds a week, but I missed my school books. I gathered newspaper scraps along the roadside and magazines from the plantation's trash just to have something, anything to read. I was so hungry to learn. My mother drilled this into me. When you read, she said, you know, and you can help yourself and others. Not much food and rarely meat on our table. Often greens with gravy or onions with bread or cornmeal. Neighbors gave my mother chitlin, pig's feet, and hog's head for helping with the slaughter. Our beds were cotton sacks stuffed with corn husks and grass. We had no electricity, heat, or plumbing, and no money for a doctor to look after whatever caused this limp or to save my mother's eyesight when a wood chip hit her in the eye. Once, my father managed to buy a wagon, plow, 3 mules, Ella, Bird, and Henry, and 2 cows, Mullen and Della. But a white neighbor poisoned the livestock. Just couldn't stand to see us Black people getting ahead. That knocked us right back down to doggone dirt poor doing without. My parents never did get a chance to get up again. I sure did miss Della's milk. And so even though enslaved people were free, they were stuck in these situations of working on fields and having very little money or resources. I heard no electricity, no heat or plumbing. And it seems like white people were still being harmful. Not all white people, but their neighbors were poisoning their cows and livestock. And I know that I care about my neighbors, and I have neighbors who are Black and white, and I care about them because we're in a community, and I would not want to hurt them or hurt their animals. So this really makes me feel sad and frustrated, because not only was it harmful, it really kind of stopped them from making any progress. That must have been so frustrating. Here's our last poem for now. Not everyone could move up north. Maybe you remember We talked about Harriet Tubman, who helped enslaved folks get free by traveling north. But this poem says not everyone could move up north. Let's hear more. Hardship after hardship wore my father down. By the time I was 22, we had buried him. Most of my brothers and sisters moved up north, hoping for higher pay and a better life. I can't blame them. Jim Crow chokes every chance a black man gets down here. Who wouldn't long for something better? I might have gone too, but my mother needed care. I couldn't bear the thought of her in some nursing home. She was in her 80s, nearly blind, and worn down by hard work when she moved in with me. Sometimes I read to her. Other times I'd hear her singing. Songs that would really sink down in me. Powerful message songs. I never regretted staying behind. Not a single minute. Not a single note. So here, Fannie Lou Hamer is talking about how she didn't feel like she could leave her mother behind. She wanted to stay. She wanted to stay to take care of her and share her love with her. And she said she didn't regret it for a minute. But maybe you heard that Jim Crow chokes out every opportunity or chance a black man gets. Jim Crow was a type of discriminatory or racist law that was put into place. And it really stopped a lot of black people who were in the South from having opportunities to work, to get an education, to really save up any money or do anything that would be a way to make themselves free and make sure their family was free. And so a lot of people moved up north if they were able or they felt like they could bring their family with them. And she wasn't able to do that. And so it shaped her life. And if you grab this book, you'll see just how it shaped Fannie Lou Hamer's life and how it actually put her in the right place for fighting for civil rights, meaning fighting to make sure that everyone was treated equally and fairly and justly. This next book is by a poet named Langston Hughes, and it's also compiled by Daniel Myers, and it's called That Is My Dream. And I really like this one because it really captures what I imagine it must have felt like to be a kid in a time when these Jim Crow laws were around, when laws kept white people and black people separate, when kids couldn't all go to school together or play on the same playground or drink from the same water fountain. And so while that was really challenging and difficult, I bet a lot of kids had dreams. And I know many of them had courage, like we talked about earlier in the week, where they marched and stood up for what was right. But this book is one long, beautiful poem set to really, really lovely pictures. And we'll read just a few pages together, but you should definitely grab this one. That Is My Dream by Langston Hughes and Daniel Myers. To fling my arms wide in the face of the sun. Dance, whirl, whirl. Till the quick day is done. Maybe you see here, part of his dream is to be able to share experiences, play with, drink water with, swim with people that don't look like you, people that don't look like me, to be able to enjoy our world together in community. And if you have white skin or black skin or brown skin or anything in between, being able to enjoy nature together, being able to play together and laugh together is really beautiful, important dream. Hopefully, not a dream for much longer, hopefully a reality for many of us. But Langston Hughes had that dream. And this book, like I said, the whole thing is set to one of his poems. Really beautiful and really powerful. So go ahead and grab a copy of that. And this last one here is a little bit different than the others. It's really interesting and a bit more bold and brave. And it is called Life Doesn't Frighten Me. And the poem is by Maya Angelou. She is a famous poet, a beautiful writer. And the paintings are by Jean-Michel Basquiat. And he is a famous artist, or was a famous artist. And his art is really bold and uses lots of bright and dark colors. So the pictures are going to look a little different. But the poems will hopefully inspire us to use that courage and to be brave, even in the face of fear, even if we feel afraid or unsure. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen for my scream. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Not at all. Not at all. Maybe you noticed some of these paintings and pictures. Maybe you were thinking, I wonder, what is that of? Or what was the inspiration? You can learn more about the artist, Jean-Michel Basquiat, in the back of this book. And you can learn more about the poet, Maya Angelou, in the back of this book as well. And one of the reasons I love this is not only because we can learn so much about each of these beautiful artists, but we can also think about what frightens us, and maybe what doesn't frighten us, and maybe how we can be brave, even if we do feel a little frightened. And I really think the words and the pictures go together so well. So go ahead and grab Life Doesn't Frighten Me by Maya Angelou and Jean-Michel Basquiat. If you are feeling frightened at any time or feeling overwhelmed or confused, you can always pause and take a mindful moment. And the mindful moment we're going to practice today is all about listening. So all you need to do is listen and use your ears. And what we'll be doing today is listening to see how our body reacts to sounds. For example, when you close your eyes or lower your head, you may hear someone speaking. You might hear a voice that makes you feel loved or makes you feel happy or calm. You may hear a baby crying, and you may notice that your heartbeat changes. You may hear a puppy whining or a cat purring. And so I'd like you to just take 1 minute and listen and notice how your body reacts to the sounds that you hear. You can close your eyes or lower your head. And as I said, we'll take 1 minute to listen. What did you notice? How did your body react to those different sounds? Maybe you didn't hear too many sounds like me. It was actually pretty quiet. And so I noticed that my body felt calm. My heart was beating slowly. My hands were relaxed. Did you notice any other parts of your body responding in any ways? Yeah. Oh, That happens to me too sometimes when I hear a loud sound. I actually feel like my ears hurt. Yeah. So our body can respond in lots of different ways, and lots of different parts of our body can respond to sounds, even though our ears do the hearing and listening. I think that's pretty interesting. Friends, thanks for giving that mindful moment a try with me. Remember, any of the mindful moments we practice together can always be tried on your own. They just take a minute. Oftentimes, they just require us to breathe, or look, or listen, or stretch. And any of them that we try together, you are welcome and encouraged to try on your own if you'd like to feel a little calmer or able to focus a little better. Thanks for trying that with me today, and I hope that you make it a great rest of the day. Sending you off with some love if you'd like it, a hug if you want it, and I can't wait to see you next time.